Good morning, Bermuda, and welcome back for another Bermuda Youth Connect interview with your constituency candidates running in the general election of 2025. My name is Electoral, and I'm joined by Ajay Peets as we'll be conducting the candidate interview for the candidates running in C28. Independent candidate Gavin Kennedy, One Bermuda Alliance, Victoria Cunningham, and Progressive Labour Party candidate Dennis Lister III, who are running in constituency number 28, Warwick East. Earlier this morning, we spoke with Progressive Labour Party candidate Misha Fubler from C30 and Dwayne Robinson from the One Bermuda Alliance. So if you missed it, catch the replay on our YouTube.
Throughout this conversation, we'll be diving into key issues affecting our community with a special focus on key social issues and the current state of Constituency 28. Our goal is to provide voters with insight into your perspectives, priorities, and plans for the future. With that, let's turn to independent candidate Gavin Kennedy, who will introduce himself to the audience.
Good morning. My name is Gavin Kennedy, running as an independent in Constituency 28, Warwick West, where I've lived and grown up and work. So I know Warwick. I know Warwick West. Like I said, I grew up in the area. I've worked in the area. I'm here every day. I talk to the people. They have the same struggles that I have. We haven't seen much change or much improvement in the past 7 years. So when I go to my neighbors and my constituents, I go through the same potholes they go through. I have the same issues with crime that they have. We have ideas. We're trying to make Warwick a showcase that can be emulated in other constituencies and therefore island-wide. Crime is big in Warwick. We've had a lot of murders in the parish. We have a lessening police force. We have lost our parish constables. There's a lot that needs to be done and a lot that can be done.
Thank you so much for your introduction. Next, I would like to hand it over to the Progressive Labour Party candidate Dennis Lister III for a brief introduction.
Good morning, Ajay and Ture. Good morning to my opposing candidates, and good morning to your watching audience, and specifically to any residents of Constituency 28. As you know, my name is Dennis Lister III, two-term MP for C28. And a little about myself is that I come from a background of politicians. My father, his brother, and their uncle were all politicians. And all my life, I've watched and been instilled the three key principles of serving, leadership, and giving back to the community. And I use those three key principles every day in my political life. In my professional background, I have 20 years of experience working in the banking industry in Bermuda, and each day I try to bring those qualities and that wealth of knowledge to how I approach my political life. I also do a lot of community service. I serve on the Bermuda Road Safety Council as the chairman of the council since 2018. I'm also the deputy chairman of BLMC, formerly named as RECO. I'm also the former chairman of the National Parks Commission, and I also sit and serve on the management of Somerset Cricket Club. In my constituency, I also do community events. We do the back to school events. We do giveaways. I do grocery voucher giveaways to constituents. We host town hall series in regards to education. We do a soft skills interview to help improve those in the constituency. And our town halls have various topics range from seniors, healthcare, policing, and also just general knowledge on how to take care of yourself. And so those are the things that I use combined with my three key principles of service, leadership, and giving back to the community. So that's a bit about me and, again, how I like to represent the constituents of C28.
Thank you so much for your introduction. And finally, I would like to hand it over to the OBA candidate, Victoria Cunningham, for a brief introduction.
Good morning, and thank you. I think this is brilliant that Bermuda Youth Connect is giving this opportunity to us to engage with our young voters on such important issues, the main one obviously being the future of our island. And I think that the youth voice is particularly critical in any democracy, and so I massively appreciate the chance to be here today. For those that do not know me, I'm Victoria Cunningham. I'm running in Constituency 28, Warwick West, as a candidate for the One Bermuda Alliance. I spent over 21 years working in the international business field, specifically in reinsurance underwriting and broking. But last year, I quit that to pursue my passion, which is basically youth development. And I'm now the executive director of a charity that was founded in 1996 to ensure a continued pipeline of talent into Bermuda's international business sector. I am also an adjunct lecturer at Bermuda College and teach one of the first CPCU designation classes, which is one of the underwriting qualifications. Through my experiences, I've seen firsthand the challenges and opportunities that our young Bermudians are facing today and all days. So over the past few months, I've been in Warwick West speaking with residents, professionals, young people, students, families, seniors, and people just want solutions to everyday challenges. I think young Bermudians in particular are worried about that high cost of living, the job market, and access to quality education so that they can build a future here at home. And these aren't just talking points. So today I will hopefully get the opportunity to share our vision and policies and how we're going to secure that more prosperous Bermuda for all of us. So I look forward to sharing more about our platform. And so let's get started.
Yeah, thank you all for such great introductions. I'm going to take it back to Gavin to tell us what is the biggest concern that you've heard so far while you've been canvassing. And you mentioned that you're a resident of the constituency. So tell us what the canvassing experience has been like and what the biggest concerns you've heard are.
I mean, the biggest concerns that our residents, our constituents have, they're pretty well island-wide. Crime, seniors, youth, the blatant spending of government money that doesn't seem to be accountable for. When we talk about crime, like I mentioned in my intro, crime in Warwick, it's rampant island-wide. So each constituency has that. But if a house gets broken into in my neighborhood, which we had an attempted break-in a couple of days ago, one of my neighbors, it hurts me as I live in the area. It hurts everybody in this area. We used to have parish constables. We used to have parish constables that were on our neighborhood watches. Those are all gone. And they need to come back. There's ways around making parish constables available. We have traffic issues. We have road safety issues. We have too many major accidents. I drive a taxi. I get the pictures of all these accidents. Some nights we have 5 or 6 accidents. What is being done to alleviate and make our roads safer? Our seniors, we talk about having a daycare randomly announced for Gilbert. Incredible how all of these things are just happening right now. Our seniors need a place to go. Our youth need a place to go. In my introductory speech, when I announced my candidacy, I mentioned the youth. When kids come out of school at 3:30, there should be a safe spot for them to go. The ideal spot for them is still in school. Now, if we had a daycare center for seniors and youth together, we've got plenty of government buildings. We have T.N. Tatum building, which is not good enough for a school, but good enough for renting out. I'm not quite understanding that concept. There's so much that can be done that isn't being done. We need to focus on specific areas. The Progressive Labor Party have come up with some amazing ideas. And again, they just come up with them the week before the election. I'm not sure what the OBA's take on a lot of these issues are. Right now, there's too much in-house bickering. That needs to stop. The parties are arguing with each other. We need to work together. These are solutions that can be fixed. It's not difficult. Party politics needs to be put aside. That's where an independent person comes in. I'm going to introduce you to my entire team. It's right behind me. This is it. I have nobody with me but me. I speak from the heart. I speak from experience. I live in Warwick. I work in Warwick. I am in Warwick every day, all day. So I know my constituents. I know my neighbors. I know the people that come through here. We talk about things that we can do right away. The first thing we need to do is divert some of the money that is being spent in the Gaming Commission and put that back into either youth or seniors. These are things that are very quick to be done. There's no reason for the rampant spending when we have issues close at heart that need to be resolved and can be resolved with a little bit of give and take. So what I've proposed is that we have community policing. We have policemen in each parish. We have policemen accessible. We have community policing that can go around and visit vulnerable people, elderly people, families with some issues that need to be looked after. Any of these things could be done. It doesn't take a lot. We don't need policemen manning cameras. We used to have policemen doing mechanical work and radio work. Those days are over, thank goodness. We used to have policemen on the front desk of the police station. So these are things that can be done. It's not difficult. We talk about seniors. Again, let's have some senior daycare centers. Let's not just do it because there's an election. Let's do it because we need to do it and we should be doing it. Seniors and youth together can work well. When I listen to my mother-in-law and my parents talking about Bermuda from yesterday and last 50 years ago, they teach me things. They teach me how Bermuda used to be. Let's get back to that.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Gavin. There's going to be plenty of time to continue getting into the policy positions, but we need to make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. So I'd like to pose that question to Dennis. Tell us about the concerns that you've heard on the doorstep.
Thank you, Teray. Throughout my canvassing, and not just in this election period, but canvassing throughout the year, some of the key concerns are: one, the cost of living; two is seniors; and roads. In Warwick, we have all three main arteries that run through our parish. It's Harbor Road, South Shore, and Middle Road. And I know the roads are a big concern. As we have seen recently, that the repaving is starting again. So the concerns of the roads are being addressed. For those of you that travel between Riddles Bay and Spicelands, you will see that what was once a very dangerous, treacherous stretch of road is now repaved and smooth. So those other roads are looking to be addressed. When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to seniors, that is a big one, because in my constituency, there are a lot of seniors. That is probably the largest demographic in our constituency. And so I hear a lot of what seniors have to say. And even not just hearing from my constituents, but also in a personal experience, having seniors in my family and understanding that, yes, there are services that government does provide to address seniors, but we can be real and say there are those that fall in the gaps. And so we have to look to fill in those gaps when it comes to addressing seniors, whether it is the cost of medicine, whether it's access to services that are provided. We have to look to how we can fill those gaps to make sure that all of our seniors are being addressed. And then when it comes to the cost of living, we get it. The cost of living is high in Bermuda. Bermuda is one of the highest places in the world to live. So as a government member, I support any initiatives by the government to help reduce the cost of living. And it could be incentives for businesses to reduce their costs, to help spread around so that the cost of business spread around also more people to reduce the cost. So whatever it is, in incentivizing businesses to reduce costs, make it a healthy environment for businesses so that they don't have as much pressures on them, so that the prices can be reflected. So I support those initiatives, and those three concerns is the cost of living, seniors, and roads. And the government stands on improving all of those. And those are key areas that I would like to also be vocal for and to be a voice for the constituents in Ward.
Thank you for that, Dennis. And then last but not least, Victoria, tell us about the concerns you're hearing on the doorstep.
Thank you. Well, obviously, the main one that people impacts them daily is the state of the roads. But a lot of people, and it doesn't matter where you're from across the island, are feeling the pinch with the increased cost of living. And I think that's a big one, especially as, we've got big neighbors to the left and right of us who can basically control our transport of goods. The second one is education. And I firmly believe that having a good education system will then lead ultimately to a better labor force, less issues with things like immigration, but more people stimulating the economy. So we need more money into the economy so that cost of goods can ultimately go down. Cost of insurance can go down. So our seniors are not going to be depending on, their final savings of pennies to pay for their medications. So I think from what I've heard from seniors especially is the healthcare issue, but it's also the education system and cost of living.
Perfect. Thank you all for that.
I'm sorry, I just realized I was muted. Thank you so much, Victoria. So Gavin, you are the owner of the Hub. How has that prepared you for potentially being in the House and representing Constituency 28?
What it has done Like I said in my introductory speech a couple of weeks ago, being in Warwick, where I grew up, I know a lot of the people, and where I have been in this store for the past 7, 8, 9 years, watching the scale of economics. People used to be able to have a lot of disposable income. Now they don't. So again, and you've heard the conversations before, you've got to determine whether you buy medication, food, put on your cell phone. Where people before used to be able to buy a large amount of goods, used to be able to put a lot of money on their phone. Now they're coming in and putting in $2 or $3 a day on their phone. They're only living for today or tomorrow. They don't have the ability. And this is something that really hits home on a daily basis when I see the same people from 5 years ago used to put on $25, $30. Now they're just doing day by day. So this has been going on. The cost of living has been increasing year over year. As a small business, running a business in Bermuda is very, very difficult. Operating expenses, everything has gone up. And the minute I raise my prices, I'm the bad guy. We've got a lot of incentives, but I haven't seen any for small businesses unless you're located in a specific area of Bermuda. That's when the government takes assistance. Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, you've got to be in a specific location in order to get some grants. Now, again, getting some of these grants and handouts, they do come with cost. The government isn't giving you anything. When they give you a loan, you've obviously got to pay it back. So, they do relief for customs duty, but again, you've got to pay that back. There's no real relief as a small business. I still have the same operating expenses as I did during COVID when we were shut. We still had to pay electricity, internet, cable, security. I've had break-ins. A lot of the stores in our area did when they went through that crime wave. Every step we take, we've got to try and stay one step ahead. But that comes at a cost. In cost of increasing your security surveillance, in cost of having private security companies come in. So there's a lot of cost involved with having a business. But I tell you what, I wouldn't have my business anywhere else. I would never want to move. I thought about it until I bought my building. I would not want to be anywhere else in Bermuda but where I am. This is my home, basically.
Thank you for that. Dennis, we're going to bring you in. You're the chairman of the Bermuda Road Safety Council. How has that prepared you for being in the House and representing Constituency 28 potentially in this next general election?
Thank you, Teray. Being the chairman of the Bermuda Road Safety Council, that tied into just the experience of being a politician already. I think what it does, it's two things. It's one, it's being relatable to people, being related to your constituents, being relatable to the public, understanding and hearing their concerns and being able to sympathize with them and being able to pass those or manage those concerns, whether it's passing it on to another department or ministry or addressing it there. And also it's on the other side, it's understanding how government works. And I reflect back to 2011 when I first joined the Bermuda Road Safety Council as a member. And that was my first step into civic service. And that taught me, again, understanding how governance in Bermuda works, how different departments work in government. And that was a stepping stone for me from then serving for a period of time, then become the deputy chairman, and then ultimately the chairman of the Bermuda Road Safety Council. So I think, as I said, the two key parts is being relatable to people, connecting with people, and then being able to also understand how governments works, how policy works, legislation, crafting and drafting that, and bring it to fruition. So that's how my role as the Bermuda Road Safety Council, along with my present role as Member of Parliament, allows me to understand and affect change in Bermuda.
Thank you so much for expanding on that. Now I'd like to hand over a question to Victoria. You are very active in the Bermuda scholarships and reinsurance industry. How has that prepared you for potentially being in the House and representing Constituency 28?
So thank you for that question. A lot of what I do is working with the youth. So whether they be high school students or university students and then graduates. And I think what it's taught me is to be authentically me and to be approachable. So I feel that a lot of our youth, and one of you on here today I've been talking to, a lot of our youth find that I have that knowledge that I can help them. And I think that's the passion that drives me, is the passion of being able to help people. I've been brought up in a family that is dedicated to service. I mean, one of my first memories is delivering Meals on Wheels with my grandparents when they were probably in their 80s around Warwick, when the roads were in a lot better condition. But I think, you know, I have been a leader. I have led a number of different industry groups. I also won the Insurance Industry Young Industry Leader Award back in 2015. But I think all these are parts of my character that speak to how much I care, how much I can work, and how much I can listen to people's concerns and hopefully go and act on them.
Thank you all for that. Gavin, I'm going to bring you back in on this. How do you respond to voters that are still skeptical that independent candidates lack the accountability, party support, and policy development necessary to be effective in the House?
Yeah, I knew that question was going to come. Like I said, I introduced you to my entire team behind me. I am an independent. I am an independent-minded person. I believe that Bermuda has matured enough, and in all honesty, every single person I have spoken to, whether they be PLP, OBA, former UBP, or undecided, all believe that the House of Assembly is a playground. Both parties, and even during this election, it's a back and forth. We are spending more time arguing with each other than getting stuff done. If you had a independent-minded person in the middle, you could be the catalyst that could change. And what I'm asking voters to do is to be that catalyst for change. Independent members of parliament bring a wealth of knowledge. They bring independence. They bring independent minds. They don't bring the party leader or follow the party leader. When you have a party that you cannot say anything without the leader's permission, you cannot do a press conference without reading from a script, you're afraid of looking over your shoulder to find out if your leader approves or disapproves. Now, if he disapproves, you know you're out. You lose your ministry, you lose everything. And then you sit on the backbench for the next X number of years, wondering what people are going to say. Can I look to my left? Is he going to be mad at me? Look to my right. Is he going to be mad at me? Those days are over. Now is the time for Bermuda to move and mature and allow people that should be able to govern to govern. The days of fighting, in-house bickering, they need to stop, and we need to sit down and get on with the business.
Thank you for that. I want to bring Dennis and Victoria in on this and give them an opportunity to respond as candidates running as a part of a party. Tell the voters why they should trust you as a member, as a party, as opposed to an independent. Dennis, I think we'll start with you.
First of all, I would say that party politics plays a big part in Bermuda because we all have our philosophies. And I do just want to jump back to a reference that my opponent, Gavin, had made earlier. He said that his team is behind him. It's just him. Well, in government, you need a team around you. That's why we have party politics, because it's just like in any area of life, sports. You have a team, you have each person carries the weight on the team, does the role, and I'm a football player, so I can go back to football. You have the goalkeeper. He's probably one of the most important persons on the team because he keeps the ball out of the net. And then you have your defenders. They all have a role to play. Yes, there might be a star on team, but we all play a part in that team to help making the team successful. And so independence might be good, but you need a team behind you. And if you are solely by yourself, you need hands to help. So party politics is good in Bermuda, and each party has its philosophy. We live in a democracy where people are free to choose what their values, philosophies are, and, associate with people that agree and like-minded. But I support party politics because every party on that team plays a part in helping the party be successful. It encourages collaborative thinking because if you are a one-person team, where are the other minds to help you think collaboratively? So I support party politics in Bermuda. And yes, while independence, everyone is free to voice their concern. that again shows we have a healthy democracy in Bermuda where people can run as independents. In some places you are not allowed to. So in Bermuda, it shows we have a healthy democracy where people can put their hand forward. But overall, as I said, I believe that party politics works because we need a team of people on the same wavelength, working together, collaboratively, pulling their part to make us successful.
Well, I, for one, definitely appreciate that example. I was the goalkeeper on my football team, so I think they are the most important players on the field. But Victoria, I'd like to bring you in on this. Let's make a case and tell us why you're running as a part of the OBA and a party in this election.
Well, I didn't think I'd be agreeing with my PLP colleague today. I agree with Mr. Lister. And quite frankly, I think as it relates to the One Bermuda Alliance, we've built a team, and that's what we are. We are diverse. We're made up of, business leaders, self-employed, the blue collar, the white collar, white, black. And to me, I know that I can trust that the team is behind me. And I think, when we're talking about issues that, one person or the other is connected to, they can ultimately share with the rest of the room or the rest of the team exactly how things affect them or impact them. So I think it's not necessarily groupthink, which, tends to have negative connotations, but I think having that team is particularly important. And I think the One Bermuda Alliance proved in their short time from 2012 to 2017 that they have the team that can get things done. We have a vision, we have the policies in place, or we've come up with the policies that can hopefully make Bermuda more prosperous for all of us. And it's basically down to our focus. So it's our focus on integrity, accountability, and that delivery of those promises. And so I think that's where the party politics, and I wouldn't, it's a team. You're voting for Victoria Cunningham to represent you in Warwick West, but you're voting for me as part of the One Bermuda Alliance, who is the strongest team out there, I think, to be able to lead this country into the future.
All right, thank you so much for expanding on that, Victoria. So just shifting gears a little bit, and I would like to address this question to each of you. Voters often express concerns about government transparency and accountability. How will you ensure greater transparency in decision-making, spending, and public engagement if elected? And I would like to give it to Gavin first.
Okay. Yeah, boy. Government transparency. So the first thing we need to do is, I'm going to reference back to the OBA back in 2012 when they won the election. They needed to open up the hood of the car to see what the engine looked like. We need to put the car up on jacks. We need to have this whole car examined. There is so much that needs to be done to bring transparency back into government. One thing I would be an advocate for is every government contract over $50,000 per year needs to have 2 permanent secretary signatures. That way we have some guarantee that what we're spending money on is not going to someone overseas that we can't find. It is not going into friends. It is not going to family. It is going into what the country needs. That's the first thing. So every government contract would have to be certified, signed off by 2 separate ministries in order to be approved. I believe that a lot of what this government is not transparent. We have to do patty requests in order to, now government put in the patty request, which is great. Now they want to start charging you for it. The patty requests are there so that we can get information. Trust and believe, I have used it on numerous occasions. It's a very difficult, cumbersome, time-intensive labor to get a copy of an email from a government department. It's taken me 6 months, independent reviews, intervention by the Information Commissioner's Office. So when we talk about transparency, there is none. There is no transparency. I don't know how much the Gaming Commission is costing us. I don't know what's going on with the Department of Bermuda Tourism Authority. These are just 2 little small things, but it's massive. And we need to have a group of people that are transparent for the country.
Thank you so much for elaborating on that. I would like to now pass it over to Mr. Lister. Just to refresh the question, voters often express concerns about government transparency and accountability. How will you ensure greater transparency in decision-making, spending, and public engagement if elected?
Thank you, Jay. First, I'd like to say, how can I contribute is that during my time as an MP, I served on the Public Accounts Committee, which is a standing committee in the House of Parliament, which assesses and evaluates funds that are spent by government. And so during my time served, we actually looked at those funds, how they were spent, and if government got the best value of those funds. So I have, as during my term, served and tried to contribute to the transparency of our government. And I also, going forward, I'd like to just reflect on the platform, which was recently released. And in the platform, there is talked about the digitization of government services, so that way it'll be more accessible and visible and transparent for persons that want to view it. And also it's into the introduction of a public integrity office that's in our platform. So all of this is going towards being more transparent and more visible to the public of what government is doing and the services that have been offered.
Thank you so much. And now, Victoria, if you can expand on that question as well regarding how will you ensure greater transparency in decision-making, spending, and public engagement if elected?
I think it's ultimately, and one of our values of the OBA is accountability. And ultimately, you know, when I'm elected, because I'm a firm believer in being optimistic, but I'm then representing the people of Warwick West who have voted me into that seat. And so they have every right to hold me accountable, because it is ultimately the people's money that is paying for me to be there. It is the people's money that is paying for our services across the island. It is the people's money that is being, quite frankly, right now, thrown around willy-nilly and with no transparency whatsoever. So I will agree with Gavin on this one, that ultimately we have no transparency right now. We don't know what's going on. And to me, that's massively concerning. But I think, you know, the One Bermuda Alliance has said, you know, we have transparency and accountability at our core values, and we will act with integrity. So I think, you know, ultimately, when it comes to spending the people's money, the people's public purse, I think all of us should deserve and demand that transparency from our government leaders. And I don't think that that's been happening, at least in the last 7 years.
Yeah, thank you all for that. We're gonna turn to the audience now, because there are a lot of questions for you guys. So the first one is, if party politics is said to still encapsulate independent thinkers, can the candidates please confirm one specific policy that they will be advocating for that's not in their party platform? So because that's a question to people running a part of a party, I'll give it to Dennis first, and then we'll hear from Victoria, and then Gavin will come to you again for policies that you'd like to push through.
Thank you, Teray. I'm just reading the question correctly, is that if there is a policy that I will be advocating for that's not in our party's platform,
yes.
Again, I will go to my passion, and that is road safety. And it's advocating again for further investment so that we can raise our standards of riding and driving in Bermuda. It has been many comments made on the state of our roads and the behavior on our roads. So in my capacity, it's to be vocal and to push for policies. And some of those policies will range from whether it be changing behavior or it's just addressing how the consequences of what happens on our roads. So I will be more vocal and pushing for policies geared towards making our roads safer for everyone that uses them.
Thank you for that. Now, Victoria, over to you.
So mine would be more around, I mean, the One Bermuda Alliance have said that they'll reduce or cut payroll taxes for businesses that hire young people. I think, you know, I think we need to do more than that. I think we need to actively encourage or work out where those opportunities are for our young students, high school students and university students to actually feel a part of our economy. So it would be working with the Department of Workforce Development, the Department of Immigration, to work out where those gaps are that we're hiring people from overseas, and ensuring that our schools and our and Bermuda College have those placements in place. So I was talking to someone in Warwick last week about mechanics licensing, and there is currently he put forward proposals, but there's currently no way for young Bermudians interested in bike or car mechanics to get the qualifications. But yet he can't hire any mechanics from the UK or the US who are below a level 3 classification. So I think it would be pushing for what are the skills that our Bermudians need, and how can we actually make that happen to ultimately allow them to prosper on their own island.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We have another audience question. This one is for Gavin from Malachi Troy. Ajay, you want to read it?
Does that mean that Gavin wants to vote on bills that are going to be presented, or will he also work on bills as an independent to bring them to the House?
Both. As I said, I'm an independent. I will take both sides, Progressive Labor Party, One Bermuda Alliance. If there's an issue that I believe my constituents, and as a direct result of just my constituents island-wide, because what happens in Warwick West happens in Warwick, which happens in Paget, which happens in Southampton. So if there was a bill presented that I believed after consultation with my constituents, yes, I would approve it or go with it. If I could bring my own bill forward, and there's a few that I've mentioned already that I would like to discuss and have something put in place. Again, going back to government contracts, we need to have policy, procedure, and laws in place for the government spending of our money. As Victoria said, it's our money. It's the people's money. The government is spending a lot of this without any recourse. It's just we're spending money we don't have. We've got corporate income tax. We're not guaranteed that, but we're spending it. So yes, I would vote on bills that I believe would be in the best interest of Bermuda, not a particular person or a particular group of people, but Bermuda.
Thank you for that. We have another audience question that we're going to pose to all the candidates.
I'm curious about the perspectives on electoral reform. The PLP has committed to review, but do the candidates have any proposals on this? Victoria, would you like to go first?
Yes, so I believe we all have received an email from the voter rights team looking at how electoral reform can go forward. And I do agree with the majority of it. I mean, obviously having fair and transparent elections, but I think it also speaks to election funding. I believe that ultimately the people of Bermuda should be given the choice. And so I'm massively frustrated right now at the timing of this election. And I don't know if that speaks to maybe we should have fixed term as elections, because you might end up getting stuck with a party that you don't necessarily want. But I guess the voters vote for what they need. But I think there is room for electoral reform. And I think that it's up to the parties or the independents, whoever they are in the House, to actually ensure that things get pushed forward, because promises can be made on a doorstep when you're trying to win votes. But ultimately, it's up to you to then make sure that those promises that you make are then kept when you actually win your seats.
Thank you for that. What are your thoughts, Dennis, on electoral reform?
Thank you, Ajay. For me, I can also refer back to our party's platform, and I support absentee ballot voting. I support that because I believe that young people, they are our future, and we have to do as much as we can to ensure that, one, we educate young people on the process of governance when it comes to voting and the right and the importance to vote. And so the final step of that is for young people that are away in school, that are keeping up to date on what's going on to Bermuda, have their opinions and have their feelings. We have to ensure that we're able to capture them when it comes to a vote. So I support our platform in regards to absentee balloting and being able to allow those that are overseas to vote.
Thank you for that. I want to give an opportunity for Victoria and Gavin to kind of state their position on absentee ballots, because I know, Victoria, you said that you are frustrated at the timing of the election, but the OBA formally doesn't have a position on their platform. Can you speak to it now? And then, Gavin, I'd like you to also chime in after and tell us about your thoughts on absentee ballots. Victoria, you first.
Thank you. Our leader, Mr. Jarian Richardson, actually came out and said that we will, in the first year of being government, bring in absentee ballots. And I think it's crucially important. And I work with young people every day, and there are so many that are overseas trying to pursue their education to be better, Bermudians and get ahead and buy those houses and their piece of the rock. And I just think it's horrific that they are now outside of the democratic process, and they just don't have their voice to be heard. So I would urge parents, grandparents, whoever, family members, to consider their voices when they're in the polling station on election day, and not just their own, because ultimately we should be voting on their behalf. because it's
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Gavin?
100%. When I went away to university in 1986, this topic came up. 1986. It's 2025. We still don't allow our youth who, as Victoria said, are overseas bettering themselves and their education to come back to Bermuda to work. They have no say in the government. None. Zero. 1 year policy? No, 100 days. It shouldn't take a lot to get this started. Everyone's been promising it, and no one's done anything. The youth vote doesn't matter to the Progressive Labour Party or the One Bermuda Alliance, as far as I am concerned. My mantra, first 100 days, put in place a policy, not only for students overseas, but people that are overseas. For this election, February 18th, if I'm not on island on February 18th, I only have 2 days to pre-vote, 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. What if I'm away for a month on medical? Just because students are important, but so is every Bermudian's right to vote. People fought for the right to vote years ago, and that has been stripped. Don't make it light. It's been stripped. It won't be given to us. It's been promised. Everything's been promised. This has not been given to us. And there is nobody that can say they've tried because they haven't. This government is more intent on pushing through legislation for marijuana, knowing that it would be turned down by the UK government. It was a total waste of money. Complete. Sorry. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you for that. Ajay, over to you.
Well, I would like to bring on this question from our audience, who is actually a resident of C28. As a resident of C28, I would like the sitting MP to list what he has done since 2017 to better improve C28. Mr. Lister.
Thank you, Teray, and thank you to the person that posed the question. Since 2017, firstly, I have started to get on the ground, get to know the constituents. In C28 Ward West, it's very diverse. There are different neighborhoods and communities, stretching from up on top of Burnt House Hill all the way down to South Shore. You have the Sun Valley side, and then you go over to Spice Hill on the eastern side. So there's many different communities within our constituency. And first off was getting in to connect with the constituents of each of those communities. And I can tell you, I have built strong relationships with each of those different communities. And so people reach out to me. I am accessible, so whenever it's a concern, there are many people that reach out to me, whether it's just an individual concern or it's a concern for their neighborhood or in a wider, that's the whole island concern. And I'm accessible, I respond to people. And so part of that is listening to whether it's neighborhood cleanups, because a lot of the neighborhoods, people sometimes whether it's overgrown hedges or it's just debris that's been gathered there. I go out and get neighborhood cleanups. We also have done town halls, and not just town halls geared towards educating people on topics of health or seniors, but also we've done a soft skills, interview skills to try and improve the conditions of those that were either underemployed or unemployed and trying to look for jobs or just improve their skill set. So I've done that, and we've done a series of them. One was starting off on soft skills, one was interview skills, and then the last was how to encapsulate all of that to apply for businesses. So those are things I've done within the community, along with helping to do giveaways, back to school events. And then on another side, the policy side, is looking at policies that directly impact the constituents. Now, in C28, we don't have businesses in C28. We did have T and Tatum, but that is now closed. So most of the issues that impact residents in C28 are more residential and personal ones. So, and again, that's where I said roads are a big issue in C28. So it's ensuring that policies address those needs. The roads, as I said earlier, they are looking to get repaved, so that's addressing that. And then also we have a lot of parks, and that comes with maintaining, upkeeping the parks. And so ensuring that the parks look in a good state so people can go and use them. And even when we have tourists come, tourists can look at the beauty of our parks. So I supported policies to improve work, 28, and in things that I've done on my own, as I said, looking to community-wise improve the community, looking at, again, because there's different communities in the constituency, is looking at how we can bring those communities together, all with the overall goal of making Warwick West the best it can be. And so that's why, that's things I have done in my time as a politician, helping to improve the residents of C28.
Thank you for that. I want to bring in Victoria and Gavin to answer this question and tell the audience what they would do to improve C28 if elected to the House. Victoria, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Thank you. So I firstly would ensure that we continue to maintain our open spaces. So Warwick is very lucky to have Warwick Long Bay and the Riddles Bay Nature Reserve. And so I think it's imperative that we make sure that we can hold on to them for generations to come. I also would like to see something being done with TN Tatum. I think, a lot of people and churches are renting it out, which ultimately suggests that it still could be a school. But, how can we use that for maybe our young entrepreneurs? I joined Bermuda as Love a couple of months ago with their gardening program. And I think that's great. We could have community gardens. It's how can we use what we've already got? Because ultimately there is no money in the coffers right now to ensure that we can maintain Warwick, or especially Warwick West, as we would like it to be. I also think, in terms of traffic, Spice Hill is an absolute roller coaster at times. And so it's making sure that the hedges are trimmed back, and that, that it's safe for our residents. Sun Valley, driving up and down Sun Valley with the speed bumps, it gets a bit irritating on the car suspension, but ultimately that served its purpose of reducing speeding traffic on that street. But I think for me, one of the most important things is giving our youth those outlets to actually thrive. And so it's, we don't have the businesses, but it's encouraging them to better themselves and come back and ultimately make Bermuda a better place.
Thank you for that. Gavin, over to you.
I live in Warwick West. I know Victoria does. So we see what everybody else sees. What can we do? Dennis is on the Road Safety Council. So what are we doing in Warwick specifically to make the roads safer? What has been done since 2017? What is being done? I don't think there's much being done. I believe that TN Tatum, as Victoria said, there's so much opportunity for that building. I go to the gym there. There's a lot of small, thriving businesses in there. Let's make that an economic zone. Maybe we can turn it into a part seniors, part youth care. We've got a huge field outside that's empty. If you look at the state driving into TN Tatum, it's disastrous. There are trees still down from the last hurricane. This is not what we want as a neighborhood. And again, Warwick West is a neighborhood. I live in Warwick West. I hammer that home. These are my neighbors. I live here. I work here. Victoria does as well. I believe that we need to make Warwick West a shining example. Let's bring the police back in. We need community policing. We need more neighborhood watches. If we had these in place, I think in a small community like Warwick West, it could be expanded. Let's make Warwick West a shining example of what Bermuda can be.
Thank you for that. Ajay, over to you for the next question.
Yes, I would like to firstly direct this question to Dennis. The PLP has been in government for several terms. While some progress has been made, Bermuda still faces economic challenges, including rising debt and limited diversification beyond tourism and international business. How will the new platform lead to success and sustainability for Bermuda?
Thank you, Ajay. Reflecting back to our platform and the proposals in regards to zero-based duty, and that is making it easier for businesses or providing relief for businesses so that they can look to pass that relief on to the consumers. Also, we're looking at different initiatives and incentives coming out of the BEDC, how to, again, to improve or expand the economy, or for more opportunities for people to get involved in, and for small businesses to thrive. The BEDC is a place that if you're a small business owner, you can go to, one, to be able to get assistance, directions, and then the support you need to help improve your business. And again, price controls and transparency measures. That is what the platform speaks to, and I support that. The price controls, transparency measures are there to, again, overall, we're looking to make the cost of living in Bermuda reduce that. So if the price control comes in place, they should be able to have a knock-on effect, and we should be able to see our prices come down. And transparency measures are how some of these businesses are done. That way we can see why these costs are included, and overall having a discussion on how we can look to make it easier for everyday persons when they making choices, whether it's healthcare, whether it's groceries. We have to make it easier where they can see the benefit that they're getting from the relief that's put onto the businesses.
All right, thank you so much for expanding on that. And I would like to bring Victoria and Gavin into the conversation. Victoria first, in a similar way, how will the OBA platform lead to success and stability for Bermuda?
So I think one of the biggest things, our issues, is the cost of living. So it would be immediately repealing that sugar tax, which, I mean, I think we can all agree did not reduce the instances of diabetes and heart disease on our island, or at least not from the numbers that we're seeing. I think that we ultimately you can't go out and promise, oh, we're going to cut taxes for everyone. Ultimately, we still need money to be able to thrive and build our economy and be able to live and provide services. So I think it's how can we encourage more economic investment from overseas to come in, and ultimately then fill our coffers and make people have that more disposable income in their pockets. So I think the One Bermuda Alliance has proven that they've done it. I mean, 2012 to 2017, we bought in hotels, we bought in the America's Cup, and that all generated direct investment to Bermudians, be they taxi drivers, be they, even the florists were making money because these boat owners and households were buying flowers. So I think it's encouraging that economic growth, and I think the One Bermuda Alliance has the track record that we are the party to do that.
Thank you so much. And just to bring Gavin into the conversation, after hearing the perspectives from the PLP and the OBA platform, as an independent, not necessarily having a platform, but what would you bring to the table? What would you advocate for to help lead to Bermuda's success and stability?
Leading to success and stability, as Victoria said, starts with good fiscal policy. A lot of the policies the government have in place right now are not good. Sugar tax, again, like Victoria said, we don't see the results. There are no results. This is, to me, it's a money grab. This sort of venture needs to be re-examined. We need better relief from customs duty, as Dennis said. There's a lot that can be done. We talk about the government helping small businesses, but the government is actually running businesses right now, and they're not doing a very good job of it. My Bermuda Post. They talked about running a co-op for groceries. Come on. This is a government. You're not supposed to be in competition with businesses in Bermuda. You're supposed to be helping us. As a small business owner, there is very little relief. Very little. The customs duty does need to be relooked at. Again, does a sales tax make sense? For a small business, it would be more of a burden for me, because then I've now got to collect the money and then pay it back to government. Now I pay the money up front. I understand all of that. There has to be a better fit. Do we lower or reduce customs duty on all foods, which will then help us? Bearing in mind that when you get a container ship coming into Bermuda, if it comes in 100% full, it goes out empty. So their operating profit, they still need to make a profit. As we've seen recently in the paper, the container ships are coming in less and less full, or emptier, let's put it that way. So that's an indication that things have slowed down. So how do we fix that? Does reducing the rate of duty on all foods instead of just some, does that help? Yes, of course it does. Because every time you have an issue in the States, eggs, chickens, beef, that will affect us. Just like we have fires in California, that will affect our corporate income tax profits in 2 or 3 years' time, maybe not this year. So again, our government is very short-sighted. They see today and they see tomorrow, but they're not looking at 2-3 years down the road. So there needs to be, again, just a little bit more fiscal responsibility. And as an independent, I can bring some of these concerns to the front where they can be discussed, not just with the good and the bad. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm not saying who is who, but we need to ensure that there is a reasonable voice in Parliament when our government, whichever government it is, whether it be a group of independent people, whether it be the Progressive Labour Party, or whether it be the One Bermuda Alliance, all three need to work together. No ifs, and, or buts about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Gavin. In closing, we're going to throw the same question to all the candidates. Tell us why you are the most suitable and the best candidate to represent C28 Warwick West after this upcoming election. Dennis, we're going to start with you first.
Thank you, Teray. Firstly, I would say to the constituents of C28 is that over the past 7 years, I have been their MP and represented in work. I have built a relationship with them, and that relationship has built off of trust. As I said, I have been accessible. My contact information is out there any time of day. Any constituent can contact me, reach me with any issue that they have. And even my opponent, Gavin, can attest to it. Gavin is a constituent of mine. And there are times where he has reached out to me, and I have come to his house and had conversations with him and, try to address him as best as I can. So I think that based off the relationship that I have built with the different constituents in the different communities, the work that I've done, my track record shows that I'm a person that the constituency 28 can put their trust in and their support and vote for me. And we can continue this relationship that we have built on trust and knowing that I represent them at heart. I don't, as I reflect back to my 3 key principles, service, leadership, and giving back to community. I serve the residents of C28, and as their representative, I will be their voice and lead for them in the House of Parliament, and ultimately, again, building our community of C28. So to the residents of C28, I thank Teray and Ajay for giving me this opportunity to speak to the residents and to just your wider audience and hearing my voice. And thank you. And for any resident of C28 that would like to schedule an appointment to meet with me, you can contact me at calendly.com/C28/meet. That's calendly.com/C28/meet. Thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Dennis. Victoria, you're up next.
So I believe that, this election is about the future and our future, your future, everybody's future in Bermuda, and that we're at a crossroads where we have to make those decisions now for what the opportunities are going to be in years to come. And I believe that I am, actually, it is a privilege to be running and to, quite frankly, have met some amazing people on my journeys around Warwick West. But I'm not here to make those empty promises. I'm here to deliver real solutions with the OBA's values at the core, so accountability and integrity. And I think what sets me apart is that I'm approachable, I'm authentic, I have a willingness to listen, and I have a commitment to service. And I believe that I can get things done. So I'm not just going to talk about change, I'm going to work hard to make it happen. And so I'm hoping that with the support of the voters of Warwick West, I can do just that. So ultimately, I'm running because I believe that we have the ability to get Bermuda to a place where we don't just get by, where we can truly thrive and prosper. And I think that I have that experience and the drive and the commitment to fight for policies that will ultimately secure that future for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Victoria. And Gavin, you're up next.
I didn't start this journey until about 6 months ago. I'm not a politician. I was never a politician. I wasn't born to be a politician. I don't have politics in my family. My father, none of those people are part of what I am doing right now. What I'm doing right now is as a concerned citizen in Warwick West, Constituency 28, Warwick, and Bermuda. I built my business in this parish. I've been here for 15 years in the same building. I need to know that my country is secure. I need to know that our government is looking out for us, not themselves. I'm not going to make promises I cannot and will not keep. I have seen nothing in the past 10 years that has made Bermuda better. We can make a difference. Every person counts. There is so much that this country can do with people that are passionate. I don't write speeches. I don't have speeches. I speak from the heart. I speak for the people in Warwick West. I know them. I'm here every day. I see them every day. I live it. There are things that we can do, small steps that lead to big steps, but I honestly believe that party politics is finished in Bermuda.
Thank you for those remarks, Gavin. And that brings us to the end of this discussion. These are your candidates running in Constituency 28. As a reminder to the general public, you have the opportunity to vote in advance polling if you are traveling on the 10th and the 11th, and then again on the regular polling dates for the general election of February 18th. This is our second interview of the day. We interviewed Misha Fubler and Dwayne Robinson. If you missed it, catch the replay and enjoy the rest of your day, Bermuda. Bye.